Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Electro, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Steven.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing out there? How are you doing today, Brad?
I'm doing fine. I just won a Star Wars Unlimited tournament.
Yes. Yeah, such a vast tournament you just won of 4 people. How are you doing today, Brandon?
A win's a win.
Good. For the record, he played someone who is testing a deck and someone who has never played the game before.
And how are you today, Steven?
I'm pretty good.
We just got back from a Star Wars Unlimited tournament. If you haven't, myself, Brandon, and Brad. I'm exhausted, everyone. You may be able to hear it in my voice. I was up till 3 a.m. last night, because of our Vampire the Masquerade, RPG that we play. I was there way too late, but
Amateur.
I was shocked you stayed as late as you did.
I was in a very important scene. I couldn't
Oh.
get out of that scene. I had a lot to do. But I'm here. I'm here and ready to record, and we have quite a bit to talk about today, actually. So let's get started by talking about the upcoming tournaments. So on April the 27th, there is a tournament at Recess Games in North Olmsted, Ohio. Myself, Brad, and Steven will be there. So come and kick all of our asses. Then coming up, I actually don't know much about what's going on in May, except for on May the 18th, there is going to be a tournament in South Charleston at Lost Legion Games and Comics. This is going to be the first of the BECC points qualifying tournaments. So, if you are interested in our area in competing in the BECC, come on down and let's play some games. Let's get this show rolling. All right.
Hey, Fred.
Yes.
You might want to let listeners know what area this this tournament represents.
So it's the Ohio, West Virginia, and Western Pennsylvania region. Is that correct? Is that the?
Yes. It's basically the Ohio Valley.
Yeah. It's the Ohio Valley region. Okay. So there's been a bunch of news. I guess not a bunch of news, but it's news that's very relevant to me. There have been a ton of tactics cards dropped for Web Warriors and for more importantly, Spider Foes. And so let's get started talking about some of these new tactics cards that dropped. Let's begin with the first one alphabetically, which is Clone Saga. This is I'll do this one and then I'll call on others to read, so it's not just me reading. All right, Clone Saga. This is a Web Warriors specific card. It is an active card. An allied Web Warriors character may spend 2 power to play this card. Choose an enemy character with the same name or alter ego as the character that played this card. The character that played this card gains the superpower shown below. And it is a passive power called Imposter Syndrome. When attacking the chosen character, the character that played this card can modify or reroll skull results and may reroll any number of dice. All right, so what does everyone think about this? This is interesting, but this will come up when a Web Warrior is fighting against another Web Warrior or someone who has like a splash of Miles Morales or Peter Parker in their list. I think that this is a very, very niche and very specific card. Like, what if you bring this card and then your opponent does not play the alter ego? It's a dead card in your 5, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily have to play the alter ego.
True. It's also a
If you
shame
play this,
that Ben Riley can't play this card unless they also have a Ben Riley.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ben Riley's probably gonna get some play. Let's be frank, but you're
you're
right. This is gonna be a very. It's just gonna be so very niche.
you're
It's
only
gonna
playing this
depend.
card if you're playing Web Warriors into Web Warriors, and you have to bring both Spectacular Spider-Man and Miles Morales,
Yeah.
because you can
At
flex
which
that
point,
way.
yeah, you're right. That would guarantee you at least being able to play it.
But even saying that, this card's not good.
Yeah, listen, I think that this card falls into the fun aspect. Like this is a card you play at the not at a tournament. This is a fun card because
This,
it's extremely thematic. Like
if you,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing is that this card could see some play if you do expect to go to a tournament with like a ton of Web Warriors, and you want to tech against it. Like if you want to tech for like the mirror match. But
Yeah.
I feel like if that's the case, you're probably not the only one doing it, and then it's just odd again.
Yeah, it's just so it's kind of like the Craven the Hunter card, uh Deathly Symmetry or
Careful
something.
symmetry.
Yeah, yeah.
Careful.
That yeah. And it depends upon your opponent playing a very specific character. And it would be really fun if they did and you got it off, but I don't think that card has ever been played ever in the history of this game.
It
I don't think it
absolutely
has ever been
Fred.
played. I know,
Well,
but
you,
I also don't think it ever has.
Fred, as a Spider-Foes player, you could play Craven the Hunter and then turn into
Oh, he
Spider-Man
does
and
play
then play this
Craven the Hunter.
card.
Oh God, you're right. I could do that. No, I couldn't because I will have killed Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind.
And this is a Web Warrior specific card.
But wait. Hold on a second. Let me see here.
The card's just bad.
I think it's weird
Same-
and fun. I
same
also
name.
think
Part it's bad. It's tournament bad. It's tournament
Same
bad.
name or alter ego, so it could be 4-point Spider-Man versus Miles because they both have Spider-Man as their name.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Huh.
I'm just trying to get the most edge case here.
Yeah, that's extremely edge case. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. This card is not gonna come to any tournaments, but it's silly and fun, and I like that they're still playing in that space.
With
Okay.
the disclaimer that there is a very niche scenario where this could be actually really good in a tournament just by having it as a counter to other Web Warriors players.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the next one. This one is called Custom Upgrades. All right, I'm gonna call on Brad.
No.
Do you have it open, Brad?
No, calling someone else.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Brandon. Do you have it open, Brandon?
Yeah, I have it open. I have
Okay.
them
All
up.
right.
He's just scared of
custom
all
up.
the text.
It is, yeah, you picked like the longest freaking card. Anyway,
Yeah, I did.
Custom Upgrades is the Spider-Foes reactive tactics card. At the start of the activation phase, an allied Spider-Foes character may spend 2 power to play this card. Choose an enemy character. The character that played this card gains the singular focus superpower. The character that played this card loses the singular focus superpower when the chosen character is KO'd. Okay, there it is. Singular focus. This character adds 2 dice to its attack rolls when targeting the chosen character. When this character rolls defense dice, if the chosen character is attacking, it adds 2 dice to its defense roll. When this character rolls defense dice, if the chosen character is not attacking, it removes 2 dice from its defense pool.
Okay. Yeah. So this is what's the card?
Blind Obsession.
Blind Obsession. This is Blind Obsession, all over again, and I love it. I absolutely love this. This Blind Obsession was great, but it also could really explode an unaffiliated mod. Like it would be brought in unaffiliated lists the fact that this is Spider Foes specific means that they can bring this without it having a tremendous impact on the meta, and I love this. This is so good. Adding 2 dice to attack rolls and to defense rolls against the chosen character. What if you play? There's a Hulk on the table. I've always said this, that Spider Foes have a Hulk problem, that they can't really deal with a Hulk. Suddenly, you have one model who's rolling 2 extra attack and defense dice against Hulk. That is a big improvement,
The
especially if it's on.
problem
Oh.
is you really have like one shot at it, right? Because removing 2 dice from your defense rolls, especially in Spider Foes, is almost damning to the character.
Yeah,
Carnage.
yeah, Carnage, so that it doesn't have effect when they're shooting at you with energy. I mean, you're right. I think that if you're using it, let's say if you're stuck in a 15-point game and they've got a Hulk across the table, that's a good percentage of your opponent's team that you will have a big buff against. And you're right. This does have a strong debuff, rolling 2 less defense dice against other characters that are not the chosen character. But I think that it's absolutely worth it.
Hey, Fred.
I mean,
Fred, can you please take this card against my X-Force and Hulk list, please?
yes, I will. And so that when I choose a character to do it against Hulk, you cable shoot them to death.
Yeah,
And Cable just obliterates them.
Cable,
Yeah.
or Psylocke, or Bishop, or X-23, or Domino, or at that point, Honey Badger.
Right.
So I actually think, to contrary to what Fred just says, I think this is better at higher point games when there are more model. I feel like at 15, you're usually, a lot of teams are going, especially if they have a Hulk, they're going like 3 wide. So which means if they have a Hulk, that means they have a like in like the local meta, you'd be going against. All right, you can do this to their Hulk, but they have a Cable. You do it to their Hulk, they have a Ghost Rider. You do it to their Hulk, they have a Cosmic Ghost Rider. You do it to their Hulk, they have, Carol Danvers. Like, you're just going to get flattened at those lower levels. There's a good chance that you can splash Hulk at higher levels and still try to play a little bit more scenario, to where you might have a little bit of more survivability if you can get them isolated, like maybe not in the center, to a side or something.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Like,
So, like in your
having
Spider
more
Foes list, who
models-
do you want to play this on? Like, who do you want to use this?
Me?
Yeah.
Green Goblin.
I knew that was
That's-
going to be
that-
his
that's-
answer.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Goblin's really the only answer.
Yeah, it's Green Goblin. This goes on Green Goblin, and you choose someone big on their side.
I mean,
And
you
you
have to
have Green
play
Goblin
Green
play
Goblin.
keep away.
spoiler alert for later, but I don't think Green Goblin needs this to kill a Hulk.
I don't think he does
Yeah.
it. That's kind of what I was going to get to, too. I think Goblin kind of hits really hard. I think it definitely expedites the process, but I don't think it's super necessary. And, like, the other models that you're bringing regularly, like, this card's really bad on Rhino. Because Rhino still just gets obliterated in the Hulk matchup.
Oh yeah.
I don't think this is a card Doc Ock really wants either.
No,
Like,
absolutely not.
It's not a lizard card. You can't splash it, so you've got to play like Venom and Carnage. It's actually probably fine on.
Yeah, I
Actually-
think that's fine on both of them.
Actually, Craven would be good with this too.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
extra dice
Yeah,
on the
he
extra
would.
attack. So I think it's just a kind of a weird spot. But Craven also dies to a brisk wind.
Yeah, but you throw him as a missile anyway. I mean, you're not really
Yeah.
worried about it if you're taking Craven, right? So
Right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing, is you putting it on Goblin means like Goblin's gonna get like axed really quick. If you put it on Venom, now Venom's rolling like 1 energy defense. He's not gonna, like, you have that 1 activation. I think you're really painting yourself in a corner in certain matchups. I think this card might actually be better in like an attrition matchup to just nuke somebody.
I
Like
agree.
when you're playing in more of a scenario game, and you just really need, like, if you're playing against Brad, he's playing X-Force, he didn't bring Hulk, he's playing more scenario, he's got a little bit wide. This is a good isolated event where you can be like, all right, well, I'm going to put this on, whoever, because I need to kill Bishop.
Yeah, think about if you're playing Green Goblin against Web Warriors, and you are up against Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This card, I mean, Green Goblin already eats Amazing Spider-Man's lunch, and this card just makes it even more so.
Yeah, but that's overkill's not a positive. Like,
You're right. Yeah, that's
yeah.
I'm doubling down on effects. All right, let's.
But
We've
The
spoken
hardest part too is that it's in the activation phase, so you're just absolutely telling everything you're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so you need priority, and you have to do this in the activation phase, which means you have to activate that character first, because if not, they're just gonna get targeted.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next card. We've got quite a few cards actually to talk about. Steven, do you have founding members opened up?
yes, I do.
Alrighty. Can you read founding members?
Sure. Founding members, Spider Foes, reactive card. During the power phase, an allied Spider Foes character may play this card. During this round, each time an enemy character suffers damage from an allied effect, choose up to one of the listed allied characters that is within 2 of the enemy character. The enemy character gains the special conditions shown below corresponding to the chosen allied character. If it is Sandman, they will gain Slow. If it is Vulture, they will gain Bleed. If it is Mysterio, they will gain Hex. If it is Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus in both forms, he will give out Stun. Electro will give Shock, and Craven the Hunter will give Poison.
Okay. So what are everyone's initial thoughts here? This one's not as it's not as exciting as the last one was. But I think that there's quite a lot of play that you can get out of this one. It makes it way more of a positioning game for Spider Foes, like making sure that you have characters within range 2 of other characters, of enemy characters, I should say. Some of these effects are better than others also. Like, Sandman getting slow on, say, a black cat would be an incredible effect, but Sandman putting slow on, say, a Hulk would have very little effect. But if you can get stun on characters that are not immune to stun from Otto Octavius, like this card makes me want to play the 3-point Otto Octavius all the time.
Well, this card is very situational.
It is. It's very situational.
I would say it's good on E's and C's scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also good if a lot of your characters are throwing people, or because you can get a 2-for-1 deal off that.
Oh yeah, because it's I didn't even think about that, but it's whenever they suffer damage from an allied effect, so you could throw them into an area close to someone else to get that extra effect. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and so it has to be close, it has to be tight, and your people have to be throwing or doing a lot of shenanigans like Mysterio would do with his tricks and traps, or Goblin would do with his
Traps and tricks. I forget what it's called.
yeah, I do too. But
I mean,
blowing up trains. So I mean, it's just.
But also, Vulture can move them with his abduct ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of interactions that you could get out of this card.
This is maybe your 12th card in your list.
Yeah, I agree. We got a ton of Spider-Foe's got a bunch of cards in this card drop, and this one, I don't know if this one makes the cut for all of the cards that we just got. But I do like it. It's not a bad effect. Like, this card could see some play.
This card is good if you're playing more than 4 of these characters, like, regularly.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is like the best condition is on a character you're probably just not gonna play, and that's Mysterio.
Oh yeah, Hex.
So
Yeah, you're right. I don't really play Mysterio. Um, and also quite notably missing is Incinerate. Nobody gives Incinerate.
yeah,
So
Electro gives shock already, really
yeah,
regularly. So
the
I
Electro
don't.
one seems unnecessary. We'll go over him later today, but he has lots of ways to give out shock. So
But I do think just Sandman and Otto Octavius will make this considerable.
mhm.
Um, because stun and slow are really good, and there are matchups where you just lose because of like your matchup into Web Warriors is still not great, even with like Goblin, and like slow really helps that matchup with like Sandman and slow really help that matchup.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's considerable, and the fact the card's free is also something that's very relevant.
It's nice. Yeah.
So
Okay. Brad, do you have anything that you want to talk about with this card?
Nah.
Okay.
I mean,
All
I
right.
am glad you asked
Let's
for
move
this
on.
card because you didn't for the last one, but I don't got
Oh well,
anything.
sorry. Sorry about that. Uh all right, let's move on to Masked Menace. This is a Web Warriors specific card. Hey Brad, do you have this one pulled up right now?
Yeah, I could read this one.
Okay.
During the
Okay.
power phase, up to 3 allied Web Warriors characters can spend 1 power each to play this card. For each character that played this card, place a camera token into the battlefield not within 3 of another camera. While within 3 of a camera token, allied characters gain 1 additional power when they deal damage to an enemy character with an attack or superpower. Remove all camera tokens from the battlefield during the cleanup phase.
Yes, this okay. Uh I think so I don't play Web Warriors, but I do know that Web Warriors have a power they are power hungry AF. They really need lots of power. This is this is interesting. You have to get 2 hits against an enemy to make it justified. You have to know that you're going to get 2 attacks against an enemy and do damage with both of those attacks because it costs you one. And I guess more than just that person can be affected by the camera. Like I guess if you're playing on an E, you only need one camera and then everyone will theoretically probably be able to use that camera. But the 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 person who used it will probably either get only a refund for the one they spend to put out the camera, but or they will make one total net positive power. What is everyone else's thoughts here? How about you,
Um,
Steven? You've played Web Warriors, or you have in the past.
well, the interesting thing is while within 3 of a camera token, allied characters gain 1 additional power when they deal damage to an enemy character. So um, that opens it up just a little bit. So you don't have to be a web warrior to gain the power.
Right, that's true. That's true.
So, um, however, web warrior has to play the camera, which I mean, you do have some people in faction gain power very, very well. That would be Moon Knight,
Moon Knight. Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man. I think Daredevil does it pretty good too because he has out of activation attacks. But so it could be a little bit. Yeah, when they're within 3, so they have to be within 3 of the camera, not within 3 of the person. So people who have long range attacks are going to benefit from it, especially if you got like a spender that you're doing and you'll just get a bonus back power.
yeah.
That's not bad.
No,
Um, people like Crimson Dynamo, which Web Warriors like to take, will all of a sudden have all the power in the world to do his defense bubble reroll. So,
And this is another card that can also trigger from a throw, because it's
mhm.
when they deal damage to an end. Oh no, never mind. I'm wrong. Yeah, no, I'm not, because it's with an attack or superpower. So
Well, Iceman and
yeah.
Electro now have their little. They do damage when you have slows and get close, and I mean, just there's
Oh,
all
that's
kinds of
true.
little niche things that can happen. Um, but Web Warriors, they're stacked up with cards right now, so this is pretty hard to put in that 10, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Brandon, what are your thoughts here on Masked Menace?
I don't think this card's very good.
Okay.
I think it's got a lot of potential, but I think it's going to take way too much work, and it's not. It's deterring away from the natural like game plan for Web Warriors.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
let me comment on the too much work. Sometimes there are tactic cards that come out, and you want them to work so bad that you concentrate on doing them, i.e., like Mr. Sinister's cloning banks, and you forget to play the game that's
Yeah.
in front of you, and then you
Yeah.
end up losing, right?
And Web Warriors has a very specific plan, and if you deter even for a round, like you probably lost the game.
Steven, you just described me. I do that stuff all the time.
Oh
That is
no.
Fred. That is Fred to a show. When Fred has a chance to play mind games, nothing else matters to him.
That is truth. Absolute truth. Hey, Brad, what are your thoughts here on Masked Menace?
It's a tactics card that's coming out soon.
Okay.
And it's got awesome art on it. It's got
Yeah,
awesome art.
I think that this falls in the fun tactics card, because it is fun the idea of tossing out a bunch of cameras so that you can give those pictures to J. Jonah Jameson and
Pay your rent.
pay your rent. But yeah, so that was Masked Menace. The next card that's new is Rejuvenation. So this is an unaffiliated active card. Vulture may play this card during his activation. This character and all allied characters within range 2 of Vulture remove all special conditions from themselves. That is the full text of the card, and I think this makes me want to play Vulture. This is a good effect. One, it's free. It costs you nothing, and it could allow you to get rid of stagger on characters that like you don't have to activate the character who's staggered. You can activate Vulture and place him within range to unstagger somebody. I think this is great. I think this is a very good card. I
It's great for Mayor Fisk.
Yeah, it gets rid of the stuns that puts out.
This is also unaffiliated. I think this is a rather decent. This is a card that we'll see play if Vulture sees play.
Yeah. If you have Vulture in your roster, you will probably play this card. It'll depend upon the matchup, obviously, but it'll see play.
Good on demons too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brad, what are your thoughts here?
Fred, how many actions would you give up for Vulture in order to enable this card to clear stagger?
So Vulture has a lot of movement shenanigans himself. Like, he has hit and run. How many actions would I give up for? It depends upon who's staggered.
Like if you had to double move to unstagger Rhino, would you do it?
No,
If you had to
probably not.
move once because you didn't have the power to hit and run and got an attack in with the other one, is it worth it then?
Listen, it depends upon the situation on the battlefield. Let me ask you: if you had Hulk who was staggered and a Vulture on the table, do you think that activating Vulture first and unstaggering Hulk is worth it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
If
So
I was
I mean, it'll
playing,
depend upon the situation on the table.
if I was playing Vulture and Criminal Syndicate, I think the correct answer is I think Vulture's two movements are worth unstaggering somebody, because one of the big things to do, especially if you're playing scenario, is just rotating pieces. So if you can rotate Vulture onto a point to unstagger someone to then just rotate them to another point. Um, like that can be really good, especially if it's like a Rhino, because he can usually attack, get placed, and is already on the point and can make another attack.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I like this card. I like this card quite a bit, actually.
The biggest holdup on this card is going to be the fact that you have to play Vulture.
Yeah, yeah. This card makes me more likely to play Vulture. Okay. Steven, do you have any thoughts on this card?
Um, I like it better than the previous two Spider Foes card.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This isn't a Spider Foes card. This is an unaffiliated card.
This is unaffiliated.
Yeah. Well, just it can be really, really big. I mean, people take one for this reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has to spend 2 power. He has to move, and then he gives up an action, removing a stagger from somebody. So, um, and we have to remember we only have 6 turns in this game, sometimes less, right? So the opportunity for this card to help out.
Wait. You guys play 6 turns?
Yeah, I think Brandon has only played 3 turns.
I understand that. I
It's a
understand
3-turn
that.
game, baby. I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys are doing something.
But what it comes down to is the fact that there's only so many opportunities that you'll have to do this, and some of those opportunities would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Like,
it's a simple card, but I think that it's worth it. It's very good.
I'm always famous for using patch up on characters that have 2 damage. Okay, because when will I get the opportunity again? You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is called Static Arc. Hey, Brandon, do you have Static
I
Arc
want to talk
open?
about it. Yeah, I've got it open.
You're next in line, bud.
Yeah, I didn't. I could have just done rejuvenation, but you didn't. You didn't want to do that for me. I appreciate you.
I'm doing this intentionally at this point.
I know. Static Art is an active, unaffiliated card. If Sandman and an allied sand constructs are all within 5 of each other, Sandman and Electro may each spend 1 power to play this card. Draw a line between each sand construct, each other allied sand construct, and Sandman. Each enemy character overlapping by 1 or more of the lines suffers 1 damage and gains the shock special condition.
Okay, so one, this card has a ton of business. Like this is all about weird positioning and like positioning in ways that may be less than ideal in order to get this effect off. But it is free damage and shock on characters, which I see this being used almost more to do that extra 1 damage that you need to do in order to finish someone off, like and avoid having to spend the power to do it, or not resources. Avoid having to spend the attack to finish off a character with 1 damage left. But again, this one is a lot of business. Like you have to be positioned correctly in order to trigger this thing off.
I think this card's only going to see play if you're playing like Ease. I don't think this card's very good either.
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I think that there's something here. It's just it's I don't think that it's not broadly useful in all games. It's kind of niche.
yeah, and you also have to play Sandman and Electro, which are 2/4s, which means maybe the point values don't work out, and Rhino is left at home.
Yeah, both 4s, and your leader is a 4.
Correct.
So you're at 12 points already for if you're bringing this card.
Yeah.
So
I just think for points values, it's kind of a no go.
It's also got awesome art.
I really like this art.
I
This is
do
good.
like this. I do like this if you are playing demons. If you're playing demons downtown, you could probably set up Sandman and Electro. You're probably playing Electro in that scenario anyway, because Shock is a good counter to like Incinerate.
Hmm.
So you can line up your constructs pretty easily to then just get free damage and get free shock, and it's probably a good spot. That's the only real scenario I can think of at the moment that this card's great on.
Yeah, yeah. Brad, what are your thoughts here on this card?
Um, I think a lot of people are going to have fun trying to get this to work.
Yeah, you're gonna watch me putting my models in weird positions for some reason, trying to get this lined up, and then, uh, right then, Sandman will get dazed, and all of them will be all the sand constructs will be KO'd, and I won't be able to do this, and
I
I'll look
will
sad.
say there is something I do think that if Electro if elect because I'm gonna try all these members in like Criminal Syndicate. If Electro works out, like Sandman, I'm fully sold on. But if Electro works out, this card works really well in like how I like to play Criminal Syndicate because just giving out free shock to keep my team alive just a little bit longer for a total of 2 power across 2 models is something that I would be possibly interested in. The
Hmm.
hardest part is going to be just the fact that the tactics cards in this game are really, really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got to remember that we can only take 5 of these, and
Yeah,
some of them have enormous effects.
only 10 in your list is actually like what's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what this card kind of reminds me of? Playing Signar back in the old War Machine days, because there were Stormsmith Stormcallers who did basically this effect, just in that game instead of in this game. I think it's fun, and it also was always the wrong thing to do because you had to position so strongly. All right, let's move on. I'm talking about the wrong games. So the next one is called Strategic Retreat. And Steven, do you have Strategic Retreat open?
Yes, I do.
Okie dokie.
So here we go. Strategic Retreat. Spider-Foe's reactive card. When an allied Spider-Foe's character is targeted by an attack, if it is holding one or more objective tokens, it may spend 4 power to play this card. Choose another allied character within 3 of the character that played this card. Move 1 objective token from the character that played this card to the chosen character. That character is now holding the objective token. This character does not allow a character to hold more tokens than the crisis specifies. Then the character that played this card advances short, away from the attacking character.
Yeah, there's a lot of text on this one.
Appreciate
Okay.
that. Not giving it to me.
Yeah, I should have given this one to Brandon.
I really
Uh,
thought you were going to, and I was just gonna veto it. I was just gonna say no.
okay, so this card, I think this card is there's a big downside to it, but I think this card is great. I think this card is very good.
This is
The
the best card
downside,
we've went over.
what?
This is the best card we've went
It's
over.
not even
Yeah,
close.
I
This is by
I
far
agree.
the best card.
Yeah,
The downside is the 4 power cost, which is
I
quite
really
steep.
thought Brad was gonna say not even close. Like there's one that was so much better. I was about to riot. I was gonna be like, no,
No, this card's amazing.
this card.
It is
No,
fall.
this card's great.
It's fallback and mission objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the fact of the matter is the 4 power cost is probably too low.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
This card should. So the thing is, this card single handedly makes Spider Foes almost unbeatable on Deadly Legacy Virus.
It really does. Like, this is a Deadly Legacy Virus card.
Yeah.
And also, I've got a question. So let's say this triggers when you are targeted by an enemy attack. if you were to move outside of the range of that attack with the short move, it does
Yeah.
not specify that they get reimbursed the cost of that. If they can't, like, how does that particular
The attack still
interaction work?
happens. The attack still happens.
As in, they lose the attack, or
No,
if you're outside of range after the short.
you still suffer the attack.
Oh, because the target happened, even if you're
Mhm.
outside of range, the you've gone past the phase where they determine whether whether you're in range or not.
Correct. And
Okay. Okay.
but you could advance to cover, obviously, or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And you can advance, like if it's the first attack, you can make it so they can't attack you again, which is mostly what fallback is used for anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Can't get double tapped.
I mean, I still think this is great. Everything on this card is excellent. Do you know who's gonna be using this a lot? Lizard tends to get way out in the middle pretty regularly. And if Lizard is out in the mid, in order to grab the middle objective, he can use this and then fall back to a location that's a little bit safer.
I would say
Listen,
Rhino.
Yeah,
Rhino
you
too.
you play this card with Rhino and Black Cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the duo you want this to be for. You're trying to pass it to probably Rhino, and Black Cat's the one going getting them. If you have priority, if you can get Rhino one and Black Cat one, and then you are doing everything you can to get them all onto probably either. Well, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get them all to somebody.
Yeah. This card is excellent. That is Strategic Retreat. Okay. The next one, let's go to Brad. Brad, do you have Surprise Webhead?
I do,
Open
but I'm mad
on...
about it.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't we talk about this one there, Brad? Let's talk about Surprise Webhead.
This is a Spider-Foes active card. Any number of Spider-Foes characters can spend 2 each to play this card. Choose an enemy character. Each character that spent power may immediately perform an attack with a power cost of 0, targeting the chosen character.
There it is. It is a Siege of Darkness for Spider Foes. It's a little bit worse than Siege of Darkness because it can only target one character. But I think that this is still great. Like, this is a great effect.
This is your answer to Hulk, not the other card.
Right. Yes. This is my Hulk solution right here. If there's a Hulk on the table, you line it up correctly and you use this, you can hit him. So my thought process was that this card makes Kraven the Hunter see play more often, because what you do is you activate Kraven the Hunter and you use his tracking thing. I forget what the power is called, but it's where all attacks gain 1 dice against a character, and then you use Surprise Webhead against that character, and everyone will roll an additional dice against that character with their attacks that they spent 2 for. I really love this card. This card makes me really happy. This is the solution that I've been looking for Hulk for a while. And I'm into it.
Yeah, if you're in Doc Ock, you're gonna have the power to play this card all day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brad, what are your thoughts here?
X-Force and X-Men can't have one of these cards, but freaking Spider-Foes can. It's not fair.
X-Force has a better chance at getting one than X-Men does.
X-Men invented the unfair fight of ganging up on.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's just going to be really hard for like the really big rosters to get a card like this.
Oh, because
Spider-Foes
Spider-Foes
is getting pretty
isn't
big.
a giant roster.
Yeah, Spider Foes is pretty big.
It's not that big. It's not in the top 5 rosters.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that is surprise webhead. Probably
Spider
my
Foes now
favorite.
has 3 almost auto takes,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which is
Surprise
good.
webhead, sinister
I
trap, strategic retreat.
Yeah, I like the fact that I want to be in a world where the tactics cards you're taking are like specific to the
They all start with S's.
affiliation.
Okay, that's it for the tactics cards that have come out since our last record. Uh, I'm super excited. I cannot wait for this box to come out and to play these cards. I'm happy. What? But yeah. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say here about the tactics cards?
Um, especially with the Spider Foes, I think they hit the theme really, really well.
I agree. It's all very thematic.
They've
Gosh,
done a
I'm
really
tired
good
of
job
Spider Foes
thematically
getting
on
stuff all the
tactics.
time. When will X-Men get something again?
Wow,
What are
using
we even
reverse psychology.
what are we even talking about? When have Spider Foes gotten anything this cool before?
I'm so
Even
sick
the
of
last
it.
time they got the last time they got a model was Rhino.
Rhino, which I guess is awesome. Rhino's great, but
That's been a while.
yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, right after X-Men got X-23 and Honey Badger.
Yeah, that was like
X-Men
7 releases ago for
Yeah,
X-Men.
X-Men got like Iceman, they got so many models. They so many great
Oh,
models.
and Preserve the Dream?
Yeah.
Or
Which
Also,
who?
Brad
Spider
has
Foes are only up to
universally forgotten to play
they're only
in
up to
games
like
against me.
14 models.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
I think Brad's just complaining because he likes to complain.
He has been asking for this like a Siege of Darkness Wakanda Forever card for X-Men since literally X-Men were released.
Yeah,
I sure have.
and he's going to keep asking for it. All right, let's okay. So we let's move on to our recalibration matrix. So every once in a while we do a character and we will either not take into effect how it affects the meta, or sometimes the character is changed, or sometimes we're just straight up wrong. And we would like to go back and just do a real quick recalibration on the grade that we gave them. Uh, so I spoke to Brad earlier this week, and we gave the original Ultron, the 4-point version of Ultron, a straight up A when we did his episode. I think that's a little bit high because we almost never see Ultron on the table. The 4-point version of Ultron, I should say. Let's do a recalibration here on this guy. All right, so uh, the original version of Ultron, the one before he got errated, and then they errated him and made him substantially better than he was. But did they make him good enough here? Uh, I feel like so he is a 4-point model with a 6 dice gainer attack and a 5 dice range 4 energy builder attack that can do a wild incinerate. Those are both pretty solid attacks. He also has access to a character, or no, it's not a character throw. It's just a terrain feature throw of size 4 or less, medium throw. He has a series of interesting effects, interesting passives. I think he's a solid 4. He also has, of course, the Age of Ultron card which brings him back to life to full when he gets KO'd if you can spend the 8 power. What are some thoughts here on the first version of Ultron? How about you, Brad? What are your thoughts here?
Uh, he's underplayed. I think he is really good. New Ultron kind of was the last nail in the coffin of him getting played regularly.
Yeah.
Because like he incinerates great. His throw's pretty good. The counting wilds in the Mystic is great, but like Ultron 2 does all that. He
All
does,
that and a bunch of grunts.
and he has minions. So like it's just I don't know. We live in a world that's hard to play this Ultron because his big brother with the same name is so much better.
Yeah. Brandon, what are your thoughts here on this version of Ultron?
I'm gonna be real clear. I ain't recalibrating shit. All right. This model's good, and the only bad thing about it is that it's only affiliated in Cabal.
Yeah.
The problem is it's at a point where you're splashing models, and 4 is probably the hardest spot to splash because of how many 4s they've just put out in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only underwhelming thing about this card is the fact that you forgot about it and you just don't see him played.
I'll tell you the most underwhelming thing about this card, and that is that the character model is bad. It's a bad model.
It's the biggest pain in the ass model I've ever had to build.
It's the worst model they've ever put out. I
Yeah.
think that they've done so much better at building models since they've created
Really?
this one.
But I mean, otherwise, like everything he does is really good. His attack suite is great. He's got really good defenses. Um, he has good offensive tech. He's got Mystic defensive tech. He has a really good terrain throw. Um,
He
he's got
only has
flight.
11 hit points, which
Yeah,
is pretty
but he gets
a
Age of
little bit on the
Ultron.
lower end.
He has Age of Ultron. Like that's not
Yeah.
something that's
And
gonna.
if Ultron 2 couldn't play that card, that would be a big selling point.
Yeah, yeah. They fucked up that because of the alias on those cards, but that's besides the point. Yeah, the worst thing about him is the fact that Ultron 5 threat came out and um he's only Cabal. I do think you almost include him in most of your Cabal lists, even with Ultron 5, for matches you don't take 5 because of how good 4 is. Like he was really you saw this character saw a lot of play when Malekith was running rampant in Cabal. Um, so like it's not that he's not good, it's just that affiliation just doesn't really need him, unfortunately, and it's hard again, it's just really hard to splash 4 threat models. Like we were talking last night on the idea of like the spider foes for Criminal Syndicate, and it's to a point where you can't even look at unaffiliated 4s because the 4s that possibly will be in affiliation are going to be so good. It's just you don't even consider it. Like
Yeah. You have too many options. There's no way
you have too many good
that's
options is the problem.
yeah. That needs to come into effect when we're thinking about these recalibrations, because this guy I think is never gonna see the table except in a Cabal list, and he even doesn't see table in a Cabal list.
He sees roster and then like it's matchup dependent, but like but we're comparing him to like an A+ model. That's not like I don't feel like he can be held against him because he's like if you went and played a core box game originally with the updated models, this Ultron would take over that game, and it
I
probably wouldn't be close.
I agree, but we got to take these guys into context with the game as a whole.
Yeah, and I'm not
And
I'm not taking points away from him because one of the best models in the game is the same name as him. That's not.
I think that does play into this. That plays into the thought process here. All right,
Didn't you give?
Steven.
Hold on. You
Okay.
gave Immortal Hulk an S.
Did I?
Yeah,
Wait, did I give
I'm
Immortal Hulk
almost
an
positive
S?
you gave Immortal Hulk an
I
S.
don't think I did. I very well may have.
I will get to it. I will get to it. I will figure this out.
Yeah, I think. Well, but the thing about it is like, it's the same argument as you don't play Immortal Hulk because Hulk's better. That doesn't mean that Immortal Hulk's not great.
Right. I agree. Immortal Hulk though will see table in a Midnight Suns list. Like you will bring Immortal Hulk in Midnight Suns.
And you bring
And I
Ultron and
don't think you
Cabal?
bring this guy in Cabal, and except if it's like a very match specific thing that you're trying to get worked out.
The math.
Yeah.
He's still good. AMG put him in a different affiliation.
He needs to be in another affiliation, like more than just Cabal. Okay. Steven, what are your thoughts here on original Ultron?
Um, the game has passed him by.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, you're spoiled for choices, right? Um, why do I want to drive a Porsche when I have a McLaren in the driveway? It's basically what it comes down to. I mean, they're both great, right? They're foreign cars, they go fast, but the McLaren's just better. So,
Yeah. Okay. So we gave the original Ultron an A. I don't think that he is a good model. This is a good 4. But the circumstances of this game make it very hard to play him just because you've got so many good 4s out there. I'm going to reduce my grade on this guy down to a B. I think he's a B model. That's where I am. All right. Steven.
yeah, I'm right there with you with the circumstance of what's going on in today's game and where he fits. He's a B. Just pure and simple.
Okay. Brad.
I gave him a B plus the first time, and I'm sticking with it. B plus.
Okay. And now Brandon, tell us why we were wrong.
I'm giving him an A minus.
Okay. There we go.
For the record,
That's our
that
recalibration.
does lower Brandon's grade. He did lower his grade.
Yeah, I think I gave it an A minus or an A. So
An A.
yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll give him a little detriment just because of the second one came out, but I still think he's one of the best 4s still in Cabal, and if Cabal was in a better competitive spot, I think you would see him in a lot more rosters.
Also, if they're gonna like, this is not gonna happen, but they've got to remake this guy's sculpt. It's the worst sculpt they've ever done.
They had that opportunity when they brought out the new affiliation boxes,
And they
Yeah.
did not.
and they just didn't.
Okay, all right. So that was our recalibration matrix for this episode. Hey, Brad, that we're doing a new game, and that game is let's all point and laugh at how bad Fred is at remembering comic book stuff. So, Brad,
I like the new name
let's
for
do
this
some trivia.
segment. Fred, also, since we didn't talk about it before, we do now know all the threats for the spider foes. So Steven can
Oh,
pull out our
yeah.
predictions and we can go over that. But we'll do
Oh,
that
yeah, you
after
guys-
trivia.
Okay.
Yeah, after trivia.
Okay.
All right.
So here's how the game works. I'm going to give the team of Fred, Brandon, and Steven a trivia question. This is information from the comics, but the answer is a character that is in MCP. If Fred answers the question from the original clue, the team gets 4 points. Then I will give a hint. If Fred gets it from the hint, the team gets 3 points. And then Brandon gets to try for 2 points, and then Steven for 1 point. And if the team gets, what did I do last time? 7 points?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the team gets 7 points, they win. Okay. Are there any questions?
Okay.
Great. Now, question number 1, Fred. Are you ready? Good.
Yes.
Hawkeye killed this man because another person saw visions of the future where he would kill all the superheroes.
Hawkeye killed this man because someone saw a vision of the future where he would kill all the other superheroes.
I didn't say other. I said would kill all of the superheroes.
All of the superheroes. Is it Hawkeye killing somebody? Is it Bishop?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
On a Marvel TV show, they changed this man's name so it was less alliterative.
Huh. I haven't watched all of the Marvel TV shows, and I also don't know how they've changed the names of people. Is it the guy? Well, no, it has to be a character who's in Marvel Crisis Protocol.
It does
Uh,
have to be.
It has to be a character in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Uh, is it? It's not. No. Okay. I'm sitting here. I could just sit here and him and Haw all day, and I'm not gonna get it. So I'm just going to guess Daredevil.
That is incorrect. Brandon, do you
Okay.
know the answer to this question?
What was the hit?
On a Marvel TV show, they changed this character's
Yeah.
name so it was less alliterative.
Alliterative?
Yeah.
As in, the same consonants.
Yeah,
multiple
like
times.
Matt Murdock. Or technically
Yeah.
I picked the-
Daredevil.
Jamie
A character
Jamison.
with a very alliterative name already. I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid.
Well, it is alliterative in the comics. And in the TV
Yeah.
show, they changed it. All right, Brandon, was yours J. Jonah Jameson, who is not in MCP? Is that your
No,
final
no.
answer?
I was just making sure that that's the.
Yes,
I was
he is
thinking of
also
it.
alliterative.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry. Characters whose names got changed. Oh God.
I think Steven's probably got you guys on this one.
Yeah, this is not one that I think that I have any actual knowledge about. I'm assuming it's a good guy, not a bad guy. I'm scrolling through Cerebro right now to see if names stick out to me. I'm gonna go with. Oh no, I don't know how the Hawkeye could kill him.
We need an answer timer so
I'm
that
gonna go
we're
with
not
Thor.
just sit. Oh,
Thor
Thor
Odinson. The very alliterative name Thor Odinson.
Yeah.
That is incorrect.
I panicked and it was the character my cursor was on. All right, I don't want to hear it.
Steven, do you know this answer?
I believe it might be Bruce Banner.
It is. In the
Bruce Banner.
in the 1970s Incredible Hulk TV show, his name was David Banner.
Huh.
So in the comics, they have his official name is David Bruce Banner.
Okay. So
And
wait, he's dead? In the comics?
Hawkeye shot him when he was in his Bruce Banner iteration.
Because he thought he was about to transform. And then he came back from the death through the green door.
Oh.
And started the whole Immortal Hulk thing.
Okay. Well, there we go. So
Hulk was
it is
one of the
Bruce
people I
Banner.
was considering, but I couldn't figure out how he could kill him, and then I panicked and said Thor.
I thought that's who you were talking about, and I laughed a little on the inside. Okay,
Yeah.
So 1 point so far. Fred, no pressure. You just need to get these on like the first or second, like not getting to Brandon or Steven for the win. Okay, you ready?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
This man's brother was murdered and is now a ghost that follows him around and gives him advice.
This man's brother was murdered
And
and is
is
now a ghost that gives him. I vaguely remember this being a thing that has been brought up before.
you
I don't know
should
who it
know
is.
this answer, Fred.
I don't know
This
who
is
it is.
this is very, very relevant in the game of MCP.
Don't give
Is
him
it Dr. Voodoo?
don't give him more hints, Brandon. Come on.
Did I answer correctly? Is it Dr. Voodoo?
It is Dr. Voodoo. So
Hey,
that's
buddy. Hey,
four.
buddy.
That's 4 points. Added to the
Yeah.
1 that Steven got you, so that's 5 points. You only need 2 more points to win. The hint was that he has a medical degree that he still sometimes uses, but is also another type of doctor.
Oh, I would have gotten it at that point.
Yeah, I figured you would.
I would have gotten it then, but I got it at the beginning, largely because of what Brandon said. Let's be frank.
No hints.
I'm on your team, Fred.
No hints, Brandon.
Well, now it's
Well, Fred does
if
need
I
to hit
know
that
the
we're on
answer,
his
if I
team.
know the answer, I can get the points, right? I can get
yeah,
the win.
but
If I know the answer, I can let Fred. I don't need to help him. I needed to help him on the last one.
No, you didn't. Deadpool was once hired to protect a town from this character. He was shocked to find out that the town was full of people that are usually defined as evil, and the person he was protecting them again is typically a hero.
What's the question? Is it the person who he's protecting him against?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Who? A town of people that are being attacked, and Deadpool's defending them.
Yes.
Uh,
And those townsfolk are usually considered to be evil, and the person he is protecting them against is usually considered a hero.
okay. I'm gonna say that he's protecting them against Thor.
Incorrect. Here's your hint. This character's mother is human, but she was bitten by a vampire during labor in the 1920s in London, and he got some of the vampire genes, making him immune to being turned into a vampire.
Is it Blade?
It is Blade. Very good.
Yeah.
It was.
Why did you say that with zero confidence?
I had full confidence. I knew that it was Blade the moment that I
Fred,
got that hint.
it was a town of peaceful vampires that he was coming to kill, and they hired Deadpool to protect them.
Huh. Okay.
It was a pretty good story. Okay, so that is...
How are there peaceful vampires?
They fed from animals or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
Or volunteers. I don't remember. That is 8 points. Fred, are you ready for the bonus question?
I am ready for the bonus question.
What do these characters have in common?
Blade, Bruce Banner, and the second one. Why do I always forget?
Dr. Voodoo.
Dr. Voodoo. Yeah. Are they all Avengers?
Yes, that's not what the theme I was going for, but that's true,
That's
and I'll
not the
give
theme
it
you're
to
going
you.
for.
9 points. Good
Okay.
job, Fred. I was going for...
What is the theme you were going for?
I was going for Midnight
All
Suns.
Midnight Suns? Yeah.
Because it was specifically
Midnight Suns is
referencing...
obvious.
It was specifically referencing Immortal Hulk, but that's fine.
in my head, I was like, Hulk's not a Midnight Sun, but obviously Immortal Hulk is a Midnight Sun. I've
Yeah.
said it already on this episode of the podcast.
Yeah, you sure
So-
did, Fred.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
9 points. You
the
killed
obvious
it this week, guys.
yay.
Woohoo.
And
All right.
Fred
Well, thank you, Brad.
single-handedly won.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
I needed
you got
help.
9, you got 9 points by yourself.
No, he got
Or 8
8
points,
I only
points
got
by
eight.
himself.
Right, 8, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, let's thank you very much, Brad. That was a lot of fun. Steven, do you
Mhm.
happen to have what we predicted the threat values of the spider foes was gonna be?
Yep, sure do.
Okie dokie. So how
Are
do we
we-
do?
Well, the winner of I won't spoil that. Okay, so starting off, we have Sandman. Brandon, you said he was going to be a 6. Obviously, that was incorrect. Fred, you said he was going to be a 5. Obviously incorrect. Brad said he was going to be a 6. Obviously incorrect. Jared said he was going to be a 4, and he was correct.
Oh no, Jared's
God,
gonna
Jared's gonna
win,
win
and
this.
we're never gonna hear
Jared's
the end
gonna
of
win.
this. He won't know. He doesn't listen, so he won't know if we don't tell him. Okay, what's the next one, Steven?
Electro. Brandon said 3. Incorrect. Fred said 4. Correct. Brad said 4. Correct. Jared said 4. Correct.
Okay. All
now
right.
we're up to Shocker. Brandon said a 2. Incorrect. Fred said 3. Correct. Brad said 3. Correct. Jared said 2. Incorrect.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay.
Now we're up to Vulture.
This is where I missed it.
So Brandon said a 4. Incorrect. Fred said 3. Correct.
Oh.
Brad said 4. Incorrect. Jared said a 3, which is correct.
Okay.
Now, if you were keeping track at home, that means that Jared got 3 right, and Fred got 3 right, and we have a tiebreaker.
and Brad got 2 right. And just to be clear, did Brandon get 0 right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, just making sure.
However, Brandon does have hope here. Okay, so the controversy was whether Vulture was going to be a leader or not. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So Fred said he was going to be a leader for foes, and that was incorrect. So Brad said he would be a leader for foes also, which is incorrect. Jared said he was not going to be a leader, and Brandon said he was not going to be a leader. However, they did state that there would be a card that would make him a leader, which was incorrect. So for that half correct answer, I give them both a half point. So Jared becomes our winner at 3.5. Brandon does not score 0; he scores 1/2.
No shutout, baby.
Fred scores 3, and Brad scores 2.
Oh well. So Jared won. Daggone it.
So I think I'll do this again for the Tomb of Dracula characters.
Ooh. Do we want to just do it right now? Or are we gonna wait?
No. We'll save it for a little bit. That's fine.
Okay.
That's
well,
fine.
yeah. Because we're gonna be a long episode already if we do that. All right, that was fun. Thank you, Steven.
My pleasure.
Okay, let's go to the person that we are here to talk about today. And that person is Electro, otherwise known as Max Dillon. His defenses are 3 physical, 4 energy, and 3 mystic. He has 6 stamina on both sides of his card. He has a threat value of 4, size 2, and a movement speed of short. Okay, Brad, why don't you go over his attack suite?
His first attack is energy called Electric Discharge. Uh, Range 4, 5 dice, 0 cost. Gain power equal to damage dealt. Wild Shock. His second attack is also energy. Overload the Grid. Range 3, 6 dice, cost 4. When creating dice pool for this attack, you may destroy a terrain feature of size 3 or less within range 3 of this character. If you do, add dice to this attack roll equal to the destroyed terrain feature's size.
Okay, Brandon, why don't you do Ride the Wires?
What am I doing?
Okay, Steven, why don't you do Ride the Wires and Live
Oh,
Wire?
I literally just didn't hear you.
Okay, Ride the Wires. It is active effect. It costs 2 power. Choose a terrain feature size 2 or greater within 3 of this character. This character drops all objective tokens it is holding, then is placed within 2 of the chosen terrain feature. This superpower can be used only once per turn.
All right. Uh, all right, Brandon, why don't you finish out the card?
Yeah, we're on live wire, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. All right. Reactive superpower, live wire. It's 2 power. When an enemy character ends a movement within 3 of this character may use this superpower. You roll 4 dice. The enemy character suffers a damage for each hit and critical rolled. The next is reactive electrostatic for 1 power. After an attack targeting this character is resolved, it may use this superpower. If the attacking character is within 3, it suffers 1 damage and gains the shock special condition. He has flight and he is immune to shock.
Okay. All right. So, what is everyone's opinion here? Let I think one, I'm really into it. I like having easy access to shock, and Spider Foes really needed someone who could do a lot of energy attacks. I don't think they had very many at all in the faction, aside from Green Goblin. Green Goblin is the obvious answer, but this is another person who can do really solid energy attacks. Now, he is also a movement speed of short, which is a problem, but he is on a medium base, and that makes it a lot better than if he were on a small base. Okay. Uh Steven, what are
Mm-hmm.
your initial thoughts here on this guy?
Oh, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on.
And not a lot going on in a bad way. It's very straightforward. Not like Sandman, um, where you have to kind of figure things out. This is very straightforward in what you're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
you're using ride the wires to move around the table very long distances, um, and then you're basically a very very good harasser with this character. So I mean, he's a he's a piece you can't ignore, and depending on where the train is, he can just be really annoying.
He could be anywhere that he wants to
Mm-hmm.
be.
Right? Yeah.
Placed within range 2 of a terrain piece is a pretty and a terrain piece within range 3 of him. That's a huge distance.
Yeah, he's gonna like those size 5 buildings.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, you can't hide behind him, right? Because he's just gonna pop up on the other side and go, "Ha ha!" and then zap you, right? So,
Right. I also like that you could use him as a, I believe lots of people call them rakes, where if they end movement within range 3 of him, he can hurt you.
mhm,
Uh, and just put him into places where you think the enemy are going to move.
right.
I mean, that's probably in less than ideal situation for him to be in, but he's got so much. There's a lot of play that you can do with this character.
Yeah, he's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, Brad, what are your thoughts here looking at Electro?
He gives out shock. and I like electrostatic. And ride the wires is good. I saw someone laid it out on the table with a car placed long ways, and there's quite a bit of wiggle room here. You can attack into their deployment on turn one if you give them an extra power.
If you have either Wong or you do an advanced R&D to get him an
Yeah,
extra power at the
yeah,
beginning.
he can attack only one attack, but to someone who has not activated turn one. I think that's a bad
Range 4
idea.
is huge.
I think that's
Yeah,
bad.
that's less than ideal, but
Yeah. Uh, but if he can keep powered up, he'll be anywhere you need him to be. That ride the wires is crazy.
it is. It's
Also,
pretty nuts.
Overload the Grid has a cool ability that we haven't seen before, and I like that.
I was thinking about overload the grid. You could use it against Magneto's constructs.
Yes, you can.
You can take out Magneto's things.
Yep. Yeah. Just using it against Magneto in general. Every piece of train you take off the board is another piece of train he can't use
Yep.
to hurt you.
All right, Brandon, what are your thoughts here on Electro?
I like ride the wires. I don't like that you have to drop your objective tokens. Uh,
I mean, that has to be how it
Yeah, it
happens,
would be
though.
so
It
broken.
would be broken AF.
but I do think that's going to prevent it from being used as much as it probably could be, because that is really relevant. Um, I think the big thing is the live wire and electrostatic. Him and Bullseye on one side of the table is going to be extremely obnoxious to have to try to deal with. And then having live wire active with the other characters that have those types of abilities. If you can, if even if you just have one more, and I know it's a Mysterio that has it. That's a spider foe.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and Green Goblin.
Green Goblins is the blow up a terrain feature, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. So just even having a thing of like Electro Goblin, Mysterio, Bullseye gives you a ton of variety of attacks, as well as a lot of the traps and a lot of conditions that are really easy to give out. And I think that's going to be a really obnoxious situation to have to deal with. Overload the Grid's really good. Range 4 attack's really good. Having a range 4 and a small move is really good. Like you can move up. Sit on a back point, you can put a shot in if you give out shock, kudos, and then you have, if you get a power, now you have ride the wires active, you have live wire active, um, and then electrostatic always being online is really good. So the small
yeah.
movements, unfortunate, not any real defensive tech. Uh,
Only 3 physical defense, which is bad.
yeah, yeah, that's what I was getting to. The three physical defense with no like defensive tech can be kind of. But you can, I mean, I guess the defensive tech is hitting them for damage and giving them shock, which is fine. Uh, this model is gonna potentially, I think, see a lot of play in Spider Foes. He'll definitely be tested a lot. I think I'm on the fence if he's like really playable or if he's kind of one of those tricks. Like he looks pretty good, but he's just never gonna perform properly on the table.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I'm worried about that being the case. Okay. I think that this guy will work very well with Shocker. I think this guy with Shocker together make a pretty nasty little pair of you rolling less dice, of your opponent rolling less dice. I mean, um, basically you can have models that have -2 to their dice pool, which if they're rolling 4 initially, that's like they're not doing anything. I kind of want to try out a list that uses Shocker, Electro, and the Disarm card as just a way to really. That would mean that Hulk would be throwing 3 dice on his builder attack if he has not taken 4 damage yet.
Red, remember the comment I said about people using tactics cards to chase dreams and not win games?
And you remember what I said about that afterwards? That's exactly what I do.
Just
Yeah, you're right, but
putting it out there.
also you're right. You're right, but also I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I'm into this guy. I want to put him on the table. I think that Brandon's correct that like this guy there's a lot of flash on this card, and I want to know if it works. I want to know if it actually functions or if he just gets picked up off the table because he does only have 3 physical defense. I think Winter Soldier will kill this guy in every game that Winter Soldier sees him.
No one's playing Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Cable and Bishop also have a pretty good, even with the 4 defense. I feel like Cable and Bishop also kind of eat this guy for lunch.
Kill this guy to death.
Yeah, he is also really good against a Punisher.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep. All right. Does anyone have anything they would like to add about Electro before we move on to a letter grade? Okay. I'm gonna go first here. I'm gonna give him a B plus tentatively right now on where he stands. He plays so differently than what I'm used to doing, but he may be exactly what Spider Foes need to really like broaden their game plan. I just don't know I've never put him on the table, so I don't know how he's gonna play. But I'm very interested. I'm gonna give him a B plus. Okay. Brad, what do you give this guy letter grade wise?
B.
A B. All right. Steven, what are you going to give Electro as a letter grade?
I think I'll be at an A minus, honestly, because I can see him being splashed in other affiliations.
Okay. All right. And Brandon, what are you going to give this guy as a letter grade?
I guess I'm kind of on the opposite end of Steven. I think this character will mostly only see play in Spider Foes, so I'm gonna go with a B minus.
Oh wow. Okay. So we're kind of spread out a little bit on this guy. All right. So that is our take on Electro. Brad, do you have any comic books to recommend that feature Electro as a character?
I sure do. So I've got 2 recommendations. Fred, how many was that?
That's the number 2.
Okay. So the first one is Amazing Spider-Man number 9. This is Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and this is Electro's first appearance. Peter's distracted by a sick Aunt May. While he's ignoring his duties, a new villain, Electro, is out committing crimes. After robbing a bank in front of J. Jonah Jameson, the Daily Bugle claims that Electro is Spider-Man. How can Peter juggle his personal life and stop this new villain when everyone thinks that they are the same person?
This is a constant theme in Spider-Man comics where everyone thinks that the villain is Spider-Man.
I mean, it's J. Jonah Jameson who has the power of the press.
Yeah.
It's propaganda.
It's the world we live in today.
Wow. Okay. Second recommendation. Just like, what's that? 413 issues later, in Amazing Spider-Man 422 through 425. This is by Tom DeFalco and Joe Bennett. Electro reflects on his life and what brought him to be strapped to an electric chair. But instead of killing him, the chair has made him stronger than ever, and he's out for revenge. Electro is now a big threat, and Peter might not survive it.
Boy, one would think that someone would say, "Hey, do you think that this is the right tool to use to execute this man?"
Well,
Like, who had this thought?
most of his power before this story came from tech.
Okay, I've got another question. What
Yeah.
year did this comic book come out? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but I can find it real quick.
Okay.
63 or oh, not this one. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the electric chair, I don't know if it's been used in New York for a while.
It came out in, where's the date on this thing? Right here. 97.
Yeah, there's no way.
Comic books, Fred.
How many books?
No,
It's a
comic books.
Oh, comic books. Yeah, yeah. You could also say, "Hey, Fred, this is a piece of fiction that involves a man who was bitten by a radioactive spider and gained spider powers."
Yeah.
I'm overthinking this.
It real life.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's pretty fun. Hey, Brad, was that 2 recommendations?
Yes. Yes, it was. So you know I'm done now.
Yes. All right. Hey, Brandon, do you what faction? I know you actually just said that you don't think that this guy's going to be splashed very much, but is there an affiliation where you think that Electro would really shine that isn't Spider Foes?
Yeah, Hellfire Club, Emma, with like Mystique and other Rake-like characters, just characters that can prevent you from doing a lot of things. Because I mean, he's good enough. It's just again, we're getting to a point where it's really hard to splash any character. But I think I really like this character in like a control-y like Hellfire Club list.
Yeah. Okay. And you're absolutely right that we're at a point in the game where each affiliation has plenty of tools at their disposal. I mean, there are some that still need splashes, but a lot of affiliations have pretty solid rosters of their own models.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that leaves the only thing left as being my non sequitur recommendation. So Electro was played in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie by Jamie Foxx. There's another movie that I really love that starred Jamie Foxx, and it is a movie from the earlier 2000s called Collateral. It is by Michael Mann. It is directed by Michael Mann, and it stars Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. And this is a very taut action thriller set in a with Jamie Foxx as a cab driver, and he picks up a man who offers him a great amount of money to take him to 5 locations throughout the night. And it plays out in a very surprising way. And it is an excellent, excellent movie. I highly recommend it to everyone out there who is listening. And that is it for our show today. I would like to thank all of you for joining me here on this episode of Crit Hit Wild, where we talked about Electro. And to everyone out there listening, have fun playing Marvel Crisis Protocol.